Good morning, everyone. Welcome. People are settling in. Just wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you back for day 2. I wanted to highlight that we will have a breakout. You may have to restate your option again. And just as a reminder, you'll do a B dash for BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, People of Color room, L dash for LGBTQI. And of course, if you wish to not participate, you can always do the asterisk, the star, or you can always opt out and decide not to. Thank you, Kyra Jewel, for putting that in there. And I'd like to welcome back today, Kyra Jewel Lingo. Bienvenida, welcome, and thank you for coming back.
Thank you, Maria Cristina. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a good rest and good first part of the day. And so let's begin as we did yesterday with just listening to a sound of the bell to support ourselves to arrive and release whatever we were occupied with before coming on this call. To help us to connect with each other. So, just wanted to invite us to practice a sequence of movements to embody our bodies, to really care for ourselves. This is a sequence that's to nurture the vagal nerve, this largest nerve that flows through our body from our brain down into our digestive organs, into our torso and pelvis, and so it's about bringing in this sense of safety and care and being held by ourselves that we were talking about yesterday, of assuring ourselves that we belong. And so this is something, this sequence, it's like 5 different gestures, and we'll just do it once, but you might try it on your own, doing it 3 times through the whole sequence. So we begin with our ears, because we first are on the lookout for safety with sound. So we'll begin by massaging the edge of our ears, so starting from the top of our ears and then coming down the spine of the ears to the earlobe. And then do that again, just kind of rolling the outer edge of your ears. That should feel nice. And one more time. Go massage the edge of the ears down to the earlobe. Great. And then, if you have glasses, you can take them off. We're going to just put the fleshy part of our palms over the bones of the eyes, so not pressing on the eyes. If you want to lean your head into the support of your hands, you can do that. So just letting your eyes have some darkness and rest. So after we listen for safety, we are looking to know that we're safe. You can take a deep breath here, just letting your eyes relax in the sockets. Good. And then the next movement is to bring our palms to our cheeks. So it's like someone who was a loving figure to you when you were a child might have held your face in their two hands. We can bring that kind of care to ourselves. Just letting your face rest in your two hands. Taking a few breaths here. Just noticing what these movements are bringing into your system. And then we'll bring one palm over the heart center and then the other palm over that palm. And again, just holding, caring for the heart. And we can let ourselves know as we hold our hearts, I am safe. I am safe. So the vagal nerve travels from the head down through the neck and now into the torso. Noticing what the effect of this is on you. And then we'll keep our hands in the same position, but just move them down to the place just below the belly button. So on the abdomen, just below the belly button. Again, bringing this sense of care, of support. If you like to close your eyes and just feel the support or warmth or presence of the hands. Taking a few breaths, noticing how this affects you. And then this is basically the end of the sequence, but there's a final closing resting where you bring your palms up and rest them on your thighs. And so you can just rest back and notice if anything is different in your body and your mind. Just taking a few breaths, kind of letting it all integrate. Great. So is the sound okay now?
Kyra Jules, something is showing up as making a jingling sound,
Okay.
scraping.
Is it better now or still there?
Now it's not.
It's okay now?
Yes.
Okay. It might have been because I was doing the movements.
or the mic is hitting the turtleneck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let me do this. It'll be better. So just let me know if it keeps happening.
I will. Apologize for
Okay.
the interruption.
No, no problem. So just if you'd like to put a word in the chat about how you experienced this vagal nurturing sequence, it'd be lovely to just hear from you how that was. And I'll read out a few of your shares. Soothing, loving, liquid, relaxed, calming, refreshed, opening, centering, supported, grounding, held, blissful, comforting, steady, restoring, tender, care, love, softening, calm, composure, serene. Thank you for your shares. And quieter, yeah, thank you. I'll offer you all a link where you can remember that sequence from a YouTube video, and then when you want, you could practice it and do it maybe 3 times in a row and see if that's any different. So, so today we'll begin with a meditation on the practice of equanimity. Then I'll give some teachings on equanimity, and we'll journal about it, and then I'll offer teachings on nurturing the good, and we'll journal about that. We'll take a break. When we come back, I'm saying this now so that maybe it will have a chance to rest in you for a little bit. I'll invite us to go into small groups, breakout groups, just for 10 minutes, and it can be in larger groups of 5 to 6 people, so we'll really be sharing just for a minute, and it'll be sharing about our gratitude, what nourishes us. So I hope that you all will feel that's something you might be open to, because it can really nourish us to share about what we're grateful for, and also to hear from others what they're grateful for. So, so it's really a warm encouragement to give it a try today. It's just a short part of our 2.5 hours together. So, and then we'll finish with question and answers and a closing of our retreat. So there's still a scraping sound. Huh? Maybe I'll just take off my earrings. Is that better?
I'm still hearing it. Do you still have original sound on?
Oh, yes, I do.
Let's try turning that off.
Okay, is that better?
Ah, voila, I think.
Okay, okay.
Technology, woohoo.
Okay, thank you so much. And so that's our schedule for the day. So let us begin with the meditation. And in this meditation, I'll be offering you some phrases that are traditional practices for cultivating equanimity in the Buddhist loving kindness practice. And I'll offer you one particular version. There's many of them. And if it doesn't really land for you, feel free to use other words or none at all if that's better for you. So Once again, just taking a moment to choose what position is most supportive for you. It may be seated, it may be lying, it may be standing. Really looking to make your position comfortable, supportive. Taking a few moments to feel your breathing, to feel your body. Allowing yourself to open and settle right here, right now. Now I invite you to visualize yourself in a large, open clearing or field. For visualizations, it's helpful to have your eyes closed. So see yourself in a big field with grass, with trees in the distance, and a big sky above you. A lot of space. And allow yourself to open and settle in this spacious and calm place. As you sit in this field, bring to mind a situation that is causing you some distress, some challenge, or some question that you're trying to resolve. Perhaps a difficulty someone you love is having, and wondering how to help them. Noticing what arises in your body as you contemplate this situation. And now let your challenge, let your question, let this thing that is breaking your heart that's happening in the world, or your moment of transition, whatever this challenge is, let it come and be with you in this field. And see if it takes some kind of form, maybe a shape or a color. Maybe it's a living being. Maybe it's a feeling or a sound or a scent. So let it take some kind of expression. And let it be there right next to you and get a felt sense for this challenge. How it impacts your body, your mind, your heart, your feelings. And now see a line on the ground that forms a circle around you both. And it's just a few meters or yards across. And so you and your question or difficulty, you're in a close space together. Just noticing how this feels in your body. And offer yourself these wishes. This is the equanimity phrase I mentioned. May I open to this moment just as it is. May my heart be at ease with the conditions of my life. If this resonates with you, one or both, you might repeat them silently a few times. May I open to this moment just as it is. May my heart be at ease with the conditions of my life. Now see this circle that is around you and your difficulty growing bigger, 10 yards, 10 meters in diameter. So you can move around within this circle however you'd like. What is it like for you to experience more space around you and your difficulty, your question? How do you feel? What happens in your body? And then you might try this equanimity phrase. As much as I would like things to be different, things are the way they are in this moment. As much as I would like things to be different, things are the way they are in this moment. And now the circle grows larger, 20, 30 yards in diameter. How do you respond? How do you feel? Continuing to practice the equanimity reflections. May I open to the flow of joys and sorrows with understanding and equanimity. May my heart be at ease with the conditions of my life. And now the circle is as large as the whole field. There is so much space. You can choose to go anywhere and have any relationship you wish to with the challenge, the question that's with you. Where do you wish to be in the field? Let yourself go there. And notice, where is your question or difficulty in relation to you? Noticing how your choice feels in your body. Breathing with this. Allowing whatever is here to be as it is. May I open to this moment just as it is. May my heart be at ease with the conditions of my life. And seeing yourself in the middle of the field now. Your question, your difficulty may be near or far away. Together, you can enjoy watching the sun as it sets over the treetops. Just letting yourself enjoy the beauty. See if in some way you can touch that all is well, even with your difficulty and questions still there, not yet resolved. Of course, you maintain your strength, your clarity, your purpose to resolve it, but you don't need to waste energy in frustration, fear, and anxiety about it. So just being, breathing in the beauty, the serenity of this moment of the sunset. May I open to this moment just as it is. Now gently return to your body in this present moment, bringing slow movements to your hands and feet. Take your time to gently open your eyes. Offer you an equanimity song. And when I rise, let me rise like a bird joyfully. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf gracefully without regret. So let's explore this topic of equanimity together. When I was a kid, I was given a toy called a Weeble. Maybe some of you know it. It was shaped like an egg. And yeah, Christina, that's it. Shaped like an egg, probably made of some kind of plastic, but there was some kind of weight at the bottom of the egg. So it kept it balanced and centered. You could set it on its end and tip it, and it would rock back and forth. And it seemed like it was going to fall, but it would always come back up to center, up to stillness. And so, what is it that allows us to come back to our balance, to our center when transitions and challenges in our life knock us off center? What is that inner weight that's at our core? Yes, you all remember the ad, Weebles will wobble, but they won't fall down. So equanimity is this fundamental practice that can help us to stay centered and balanced. The word in Sanskrit is upeksha, and in Pali it's upekkha. These are the traditional languages from the early Buddhist times. So upe, which is in both of them, upe, upe, means over. And ksha, the last part, or ka, means to look. So upeksha, upekha means to look over, to be able to see all around, like you're on a high mountain or you're in that big field we were visualizing, and you can see all sides. So from this standpoint, we don't take sides because we see the situation in its entirety. It can also mean to see with patience, to see with understanding and spaciousness. And it's sometimes translated as non-discrimination or impartiality, tolerance, letting go, and non-attachment, which is distinct from indifference. Thai, my teacher, translates upeksha also as inclusiveness, which gives it a more engaged, involved, and kind of active nuance. So inclusiveness or equanimity is not dogmatic. It allows us to keep an open mind. When we are climbing a ladder, in order to get to the next rung, we have to let go of the rung we're standing on. We need to let go of what we know now in order to be able to include, to take in something new. And so the willingness to see things afresh with new eyes is an important aspect of equanimity and inclusiveness. Not thinking that we have everything, already, but being open to what new insights could inform us and help us to grow, to be more in touch with reality, to have a more accurate view of the situation. And so the Dalai Lama says, I'll give up any Buddhist belief if science proves it wrong. So that's this equanimity, this inclusiveness. So as central as the practice and teachings of Buddhism have been for the Dalai Lama and his culture, he won't cling to them because clinging prevents us from growing and moving forward. And Thai invites us to ask ourselves often, are you sure? It's good to regularly check if our perceptions actually correspond with reality, because often they don't. The Buddha said most of our perceptions are wrong. We are usually looking from only one side of the mountain. We're not seeing from the top. So we're unable to see the whole situation with impartiality. So when we find ourselves in a time of transition or difficulty, or encountering loss, disruption, what are some ways that we might be clinging to the current rung of our ladder? What might it be like to relax our grip and be willing to move to the next rung? Inclusiveness, equanimity helps us trust that we'll be okay, even if right now it's uncomfortable or maybe even hardly bearable. The more we can relax and let go, the easier it will be. So some years ago, my mom was on our retreat yesterday. I'm not sure if she made it today. Some years ago, she and I visited a museum to see an interactive exhibit on the brain. We played a game in which we had to sit across a table from each other and compete to try to get our ball to move the furthest distance But to do this, we had to relax. So we were wearing sensors on a headband that measured our level of relaxation. So the more relaxed we were, the quicker our ball would move where we wanted it to go. It was very counterintuitive, and we laughed a lot. And I loved this game because it's such a good metaphor for life, that the more we relax and settle back and move with the flow of things, the more we advance where we want to go. But we learned that we have to hunker down and tighten and push and strain and, lean into something rather than rest back. And that's how we're trained to try to make things happen. But often that doesn't work so well. So in order to relax, we need to let go. In the game, the ball doesn't advance because we're trying hard. It advances because we let go. And Ajahn Chah, this Thai forest monk who trained many teachers who formed our Vipassana tradition today, said, if you let go a little, you will have a little freedom. If you let go a lot, you'll have a lot of freedom. And if you let go completely, you'll have complete freedom. But this letting go doesn't mean indifference or not caring. It doesn't mean you don't love the people you are responsible to love. You can love people, but you love them without discrimination. So it also means we don't discriminate between ourselves and others. If I see myself as the one who loves and the other as the one who is loved, if I see myself as superior or somehow separate from the other, that's not equanimity, not inclusiveness yet. But there is this quality of ease in our love. We can think of it as like a grandparent's love, which is maybe more peaceful than the love of a parent because it's not as attached. The love is there, but without as much of the suffering. So equanimity keeps us grounded and keeps us cool in a way so that the warmth of our caring, of our loving for someone doesn't burn us out. Our work to relieve suffering can make us outpour ourselves and become exhausted or overly identified with the situation. And equanimity can help us stay resourced, return to our center. And we need this coolness of equanimity because there's so much heat in the world right now. Literally in our climate, but also in our minds and hearts. And it's only getting hotter. So when we think of this attempted coup on our capital, January 6th of this year, and other instances of violence, of political division and oppression, how do we relate to these forces with clarity, with the wisdom of equanimity, calling those involved to justice, but without dehumanizing them, without falling into the us and them? How do we see from all sides and include them in our hearts? Equanimity can help us not discriminate and let go of this view that we're separate from others. So, my dad, who's a Christian minister and also a Buddhist Dharma teacher, he and I were speaking about the situation at the Capitol after it happened and reflecting on, how do we right ourselves when things get so scary? They become so full of upheaval. And just listening to my parents after this happened, I touched how it was shaking people of their generation in a different way than it was my generation or those younger than me. They've been around a long time and they've never seen anything like this in the US. And so we were talking about how do we practice in this kind of a situation. And he said, when we see ourselves as victims, that is the separate self. When we see ourselves as beloved, that is no self. So when we see ourselves as beloved, we are full of loving kindness. We see ourselves in everyone and everyone in ourselves. And we have a force with which to meet the ignorance, discrimination, and even violence in others so that it doesn't cripple us by making us hateful. When we see ourselves as beloved, we're in opposition to no one. We can call someone on their injustice, but we still include them. During the war in Vietnam, Thai said, other people are not our enemies. Humans are never our enemies. Our only enemies are delusion, hatred, and ignorance. It's possible to uproot these forces in ourselves and in others. We don't need to kill someone in order to uproot the problem. The problem is in the hearts and minds. So if we see ourselves as beloved, not as victims, we can encounter others without malice, even when we disagree, even when we are completely opposed to what they stand for. So that's the power of equanimity, of inclusiveness. The Buddha said, when you have equanimity, you have a mind of immeasurable peace. When you have peace, you have a lot of freedom. And when you have freedom, you're not so afraid. After hearing the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial, I was very relieved. The horrific suffering of George Floyd calling out for his mother as his life was being extinguished was overwhelming, gut-wrenching, enraging. And I knew, like many others, that the wound of George Floyd's murder could not be healed by this guilty ruling alone. I meditated on the insight of inclusiveness and what it would mean to touch not only the agony and injustice endured by George Floyd and his family, and the families of all those Black and brown people killed by police, but also to touch the reality inhabited by Derek Chauvin and the far too numerous police officers involved in racialized terror and the killings of innocent people. When I saw Derek Chauvin's mugshot after the trial, I thought he looked profoundly lost. Whenever we dehumanize another, we're cut off from our own humanity as well. I knew that Derek Chauvin was a few years younger than George Floyd, and I just let my mind play and wonder what it might have been like when they were both young boys and how they might have played together. I thought about the consequences that Derek Chauvin now has to live with and wondered if he would ever at some point come to really understand and repent. If we look at Derek Chauvin through the eyes of wisdom, we see all the non-Derek Chauvin elements that make up who he is. Each of us is only made up of non-me elements, non-you elements. Our parents, our teachers, our friends, our food, the sunshine, the air, the place we live, the books we've read. So if we look at Derek Chauvin, the elements that make up who he is, the non-Derek Chauvin elements are white supremacy, one. Violent racist history of policing in the United States, that's one of many factors. And we see that we are part of the non-Derek Chauvin elements that make up who he is. We're a part of him. He's a part of us. Just as we are a part of George Floyd, and George Floyd is a part of us. So we can learn from the profound inclusiveness of the modern day abolition movement, which envisions ways to stop systemic harm and uproot the dangerous beliefs at the root of hatred, whether it's white supremacy, homophobia, xenophobia, anti-immigrant, while at the same time, so we can uproot the beliefs at the root of this hatred, but at the same time encourage everyone's flourishing through restoration, healing, and transformation, rather than punishment and retaliation. Mariam Kaba writes in We Do This Till We Free Us, Abolitionist Organizing and Transforming Justice, abolition is a vision of a restructured society where we have everything we need: food, shelter, education, health, art, beauty, clean water, and more things that are foundational to our personal and community safety. So we can bring these radiant and powerful attributes, attitudes of equanimity and inclusiveness, to our own difficulty or moment of transition. They keep us balanced. So although we rock this way and that, like the Weeble, eventually we come back to our center. So let's take some time to journal a little bit about this, and I'll put the questions in the chat. So, how might the practice of equanimity and inclusiveness support you in the challenge or change you currently face? So assuming there's something you're struggling with, how might equanimity or inclusiveness support you? And if any of these following possible responses resonate with you, you could journal a few sentences about them and how you might practice them in the midst of your particular challenge or time of transition. So one is, equanimity can help by helping me to keep an open mind so I can move to the next rung of the ladder. Another is by helping me to relax and not hold on so tightly to the outcome I desire. Another is by helping me to see more sides of the situation and feel more space inside, like in the meditation we did. And the fourth one is by helping me accept what is and let go of fighting and resistance. So, so we'll take 5 minutes to reflect on how this practice of equanimity and inclusiveness might be supportive of us in this time. And then we'll continue. One more minute. And just another 20 seconds or so to finish up what we're writing. So I'm sensing that it could be a good time to take our break now instead of after the next talk. How are you all feeling? Would this be a good time to take a break? Okay, so let's do, we'll come back in 10 minutes. Take good care of yourself, stretch, move, and take in some liquid or release some, as the case may be. And we'll see you in 10 minutes. Well, welcome back, friends. We'll make our way back to our seats. So I want to continue. This last part of the teaching is on nurturing the good. So we may believe that in order to be happy, our suffering has to disappear completely, that they can't coexist. In my experience, even though I may be struggling in a time of transition or adversity, I can still be in touch with what is wholesome and good in me and around me. In fact, this is the moment I need to remember it the most, to find it. So nurturing the good is crucial to our well-being and resilience in the face of change and tumult. Whatever we water in our daily life grows. The more we nurture the wholesome seeds, the stronger they become, and the more resourced we'll be when the storms of life hit. And when we nurture wholesome seeds, the unwholesome ones shrink all by themselves without us having to do anything about them directly, because we're basically giving more airtime to the seeds that we want to manifest. Also, when a wholesome seed sprouts up, it stimulates other beautiful wholesome seeds in our consciousness as well, making all of them stronger and more robust. So back to that seed image, if you nurture one wholesome seed, it's like it starts to vibrate and it tingles and it stimulates the other wholesome seeds that are down in our store consciousness. Gratitude is a very powerful way to nurture the good. Scholar and activist Joanna Macy says it's important to be grateful for things when they are going well, of course, but it's even more important to practice gratitude when things are not going well, when they aren't going according to our expectations. Gratitude helps us to keep our balance in these difficult times. It calms our frantic minds and supports us to stay attentive to the possibilities that are still there. When I'm in a low mood, if I can remember to reflect on what I'm grateful for, right away I begin to experience more space inside of me. And while my heavy mood may not shift completely, it begins to lift. A few years ago, my cousin's 3 daughters came to visit me, and we spent 2 weeks together. At that time, they were 8, 10, and 12. And I shared with them my practice of recalling something that I was grateful for before each meal. And we got into the habit of doing that together at our meals. At the end of our visit, we all took the train to attend a family reunion. It was a long train ride. By then, we all felt tired, irritable, and kind of raggedy around the edges. I was sitting next to the 10-year-old, the one in the middle, who was upset at her older sister for not sharing her phone. So she was pouting and fuming. And I asked her in a friendly way if she wanted to try an exercise with me to see if it would make her feel better. She agreed. I asked her to think of her mom and something she appreciated in her mom, and she was quickly able to identify something. Then I asked about her grandmother, then her younger sister, and then even her older sister, the very one she was angry at, and she was able to find things she appreciated in each of them. I also asked what she appreciated in herself, and she brightened as she shared all this with me. I asked her how she felt after doing this, and she said, much better. I suggested she could do this anytime she was upset. She said she would try. The next day, the whole family had gathered at my father's house. We had prepared a delicious brunch, and we were all hungry, eager to enjoy it. So the 3 girls appeared and said, wait, before we eat, we have a game we want everyone to play. So we waited, and they went around the table and they put a little piece of paper in front of everyone's plate. They then explained that it contained the name of someone else at the table, and that we were going to go around the table and each share something that we appreciated about the person whose name we'd been given. Everyone was taken by surprise. We had never done that before as a family. And as we went around the circle, hearts opened, smiles appeared. It actually felt like quite a holy moment. Meister Eckhart, the 13th century Dominican friar and mystic, writes, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Another time I was offering a retreat for young people in Berlin. And the following weekend, I was going to offer a retreat for artists. So there was a young man there that attended the first retreat who also planned to attend the second one. He was a young artist. And he had just broken up from a long-term relationship, and he was heartbroken and anguished. And in the retreat, I spoke about 5 practices we can do each day that are scientifically proven to increase happiness. These are compiled by the researcher Sean Aker. I call them the 5 happinesses. I'll put them in the chat for you. So, one is to meditate or pray. Proven that if you do that every day, you will have more happiness. Second one is to exercise. The third is to be aware of 3 new things we're grateful for. 4, to do a random or conscious act of kindness. Random meaning you're not expecting something in return. 5, journal about a happy moment from the day. So at the end of the day, you look back on the day and you see what was something that was good, and you journal about that, a happy moment or something good. So at this first retreat, the young man committed to doing these 5 things each day. In the following retreat, the next weekend, he reported that even though he had come to Berlin in real despair, these 5 practices had a significant effect, and he was able to touch joy even in the midst of his pain. There are research articles documenting the effects of gratitude on our health. It lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, strengthens our immunity. It also supports us to have less conflict and more satisfaction in our relationships, both at home and at work. This makes us much stronger in trying times. Practicing mindfulness, we can learn to give rise to contentment and peace at any moment, even really hard moments. The Buddha said happiness is available right in the present moment. That means right now, that it's always available. So we can learn to look at our lives to see what are the conditions for happiness that already exist. We don't need to go looking somewhere else in the past, in the future. We have enough conditions right here to be happy. So Thai often taught us that we should live our life in such a way that we create a beautiful past. We should live our days so that when we look back, we feel happy about how we've lived. Once as a nun, I was traveling with a sister and 2 brothers to South Africa and Botswana to lead retreats. We had a few hours wait in Johannesburg before our next flight, and so we decided to use that time to meet and plan for our trip. One of the monks traveling with us was of Vietnamese origin, and he was quite a tea master. So before we started planning our meeting, he wanted to serve us tea. So he had brought this delicate, beautiful clay teapot and 4 glass teacups, and he filled his thermos with boiling water. He had loose leaf green tea. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's so impractical. It's all so breakable and heavy. But he washed the tea, he warmed the 4 glasses, he steeped the tea, and then he poured us each a glass. And just holding it, it was the heat, and it was so fragrant, and we began to drink. It was so delicious. So this ritual, it made us all slow down and savor the moment of just enjoying a cup of tea. So we moved from being somewhat harried and got to get things done to enjoying, laughing, relaxing as we sipped our tea. So then I was like, oh, he's actually very wise to bring these items with him on the trip. So he continued to serve us in this beautiful, mindful way before we would meet every time throughout those 2 weeks. And we would stop and enjoy our pause, our time to connect with each other and just be. Just really savor the moment of holding a warm cup of tea in our hands that he had prepared just for us. It always brought us closer and it made our work together smoother and easier. At the end of the trip, we finally had a day that was sort of a playtime, play day. Our friends in Botswana took us on a hike through the forest to a waterfall. And it was so beautiful. We swam across this little pond, this forest pool, and because we wanted to climb up the waterfall that was on the other side. And I noticed this tea master brother was only swimming with one hand because the other hand was holding a bag on the top of his head. And I just couldn't understand why. So we swam across, we climbed up these really big boulders right to the top where the waterfall started. We sat on this big, large rock where we could see all around, and suddenly out came clay teapot, the 4 glass cups, the loose leaf tea, and a thermos of boiling hot water. And on top of this waterfall, he makes tea and serves us tea. And I was amazed. I felt so honored, like royalty, to be offered tea in such a magnificent place. And whenever I remember this, I have to smile. And it's such a beautiful example of living in such a way that we create a beautiful past. So even in times of hardship, times of transition, we can look for ways to bring joy and delight, comfort, connection to ourselves and others right in the present so that we create a beautiful past. We can remember what we're grateful for, and even in the midst of great trouble, we can find what is not going wrong. So some daily life ways to bring this alive is to, post up these 5 happinesses and really see how we can make space to do them every day. At least 1 or 2 from the list. We could even invite someone to be a gratitude buddy and check in with them on a regular basis to share what we're grateful for. Or pausing before we eat to reflect on what we're grateful for. So we'll journal about all this, and I'll put this in the chat for you. So, which of the following evidence-based ways to generate happiness and well-being is most realistic or appealing for you to incorporate into your daily life? And maybe you already do all these things, so that's fine. You could write about what it's like to do them. So that's the list: meditation or prayer, exercise, reflecting on gratitude, random acts of kindness, journaling a happy moment. And then if you like, you could write about why. Why is that one that you feel drawn to, or why is that more realistic? And then just in general, how might you grow your seeds of happiness and joy? Because there's many things that could be on this list for each of us, right? That are maybe particular to us. So what are some ways you might grow your sense of happiness, grow your joy? And so we'll take 5 minutes for that and be back together. And taking another minute. And then just beginning to finish up the sculpture of this face, and the rock behind me is a sculpture of the Bodhisattva of Compassion from Cambodia. So we'll do a short meditation on gratitude, and then we'll go into our breakout groups. So just letting yourself come into a comfortable position. Settling into the body. Feeling your breath. Noticing what's in your environment. Connecting to the sensations of contact between your body and what's supporting you. If you experience yourself in a time of difficulty, there's some challenge or question, just giving the emotions that come with that space. They are acknowledged here. They don't need to be pushed away. And as you allow these feelings to be here, giving them time and space, also gently see if you can open to be aware of what is not going wrong. So this situation is very difficult, and yet there are things that are not going wrong. Notice what's happening, even in the midst of this difficulty or pain, that is going well in your body, in your mind, around you. Sense into how both of these things can coexist. Both the difficulty and the awareness of what is okay. Now I invite you to appreciate yourself for your practice, the ways that you are open to learning and growing. Appreciate whatever it was that brought you here to this retreat. Something in you is motivated to deepen your spiritual life. It cares about your own happiness, your well-being. So feel the goodness of this impulse that brought you to your practice. Connecting to a kind of faith in yourself and your own goodness. Feel this in your body, your goodness. Notice its qualities and characteristics. This strength of mind and heart that exists in you. Open to it and let it grow in you. Let it soak into every part of your being. This trust in your own goodness, your own capacity. So we'll close with the sound of the bell. So we'll go into small groups, and our whole time together will be ending in 45 minutes. So once we come back from small groups, there'll be time for questions, conversation, discussion, and then we'll close together. So in small groups of about, I think we'll go into slightly bigger groups of maybe 4 or 5 people. Everyone will have a minute or two, depending on how many are in your group, to share your gratitude. Oops, I put in something I didn't mean to put in there. Just share your gratitude, and also, so reflections from this last part of the talk and the meditation. What are you grateful for? And also, if there's time, if you want to share in general, what's happened for you in this 2 days? What are you taking from this retreat? If you like to share that. So you'll be in groups of 4 or 5. You'll have 10 minutes, and we'll see you back here. And hope you will agree to just for a final time, just to be with the other people on this retreat, even if maybe you'd rather not, just see if you can open yourself to share what you're grateful for, to listen to what others are grateful for. Often when we share our gratitudes, it makes our own seed of gratitude vibrate and grow to hear what other people are grateful for. So I hope we'll all give it a try. We are going to give a little more time for those that are almost with us. Okay. So welcome back, everyone.
We still have 45 seconds left.
Oh,
Some
okay.
folks are still in the rooms.
Great. Okay. Thanks. For those that are here, if you want to already share in the chat something that you're grateful for, you are welcome to do that. A beautiful share is, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in this virtual space with you all and to learn from your wisdom. Thank you so much. My family and I have been in a lot of transitions this year. Most recently, our sweet family dog passed on, who for 16 and a half years was our constant companion. Thank you for helping me continue to sit with this loss with equanimity. Thank you. Others are sharing that they're grateful for a safe home, grateful for the sharing and vulnerability of all these former strangers in Sangha together this weekend. Grateful for the sun, grateful that I live in a beautiful place and can find joy in every day's walk. Grateful to be spending my birthday weekend with you all, for being in good health and having a good life and feeling the loving presence of my ancestors. Happy birthday, Nola. And gratitude for Kyra and Maria Cristina. Gratitude for the people in my small group. They increased my gratitude. Grateful for having good health and the freedom, ability to continue protecting my own and my family's health thanks to our safe circumstances. Grateful for all the people in my life who love and care for me. Grateful for your beautiful way of teaching, the images, your stories, the reflections and queries and journaling, the meditations and guided images, inner spaciousness and sharing with others, openness and connection. So many lovely shares in the chat. I'm going to allow us to read these on our own, the ones that come next, and invite us to transition to the question and response time. So we'll have about 20 minutes. And if you want to share something, you can do that. If you want to ask, and you can raise your hand using the raise hand in the reactions or under participant. I see Irene, you have your hand raised, please.
Hi, Kyra.
Hi. I'd love to invite you to share in the chat as we bring into our awareness the day we had yesterday and our afternoon together today, or morning, depending on where you are. What's alive in us as we're moving out back into our lives? maybe just if people want to share in a sentence or two what you're taking with you from this retreat, you could share that in the chat, and we'll read out some of them to the group. So what's alive in you as we transition? And I will make a few announcements after that about what my activities are coming up, and Maria Cristina will as well. So hope, recommitting to an intentional practice, renewed vigor for the practice, being able to hold myself. Grateful for the loving gifts you've shared with us today and for the generous contributions everyone gave to our healing this weekend. Beautiful. Release of a few tears and the peace that gave me. Yes. Ease, energy, flow. Renewed focus. Connection, joy, loving kindness, compassion. Hope and courage, and practices to grow. Feeling restored. So grateful for reminders of what I know and routinely forget, and new ideas. Home is within. I'm taking the seeds of practice with me, as well as surrender and gratitude. Our joint humanity, faith in myself and my life's potential, greater sense of acceptance around aspects of my life that I can't change, gratitude for what I have. I aspire to a regular practice, deep appreciation, greater sense of equanimity. I am home and deeply grateful. Excited to invite my emotions to my living room and share a cup of tea. Yay. I leave with the feeling of community, hope, awareness, tears revealed. A reminder of the fundamentals, breathing, acceptance, everything I need is within me. I have the power to choose the seeds that I water and give light to. More open to whatever might unfold. Openness, peace, grateful. Thinking of the ways I can strive to grow greater patience, surrender, acceptance of what is. Practice gratitude and appreciation for what I have. Faith in process. Hope and courage and gratitude. Composure, inner calm, more to bring back to my students. It has been affirmative. My heart feels full, open, and the pain of how much work we all have to do. Feeling great hope. So grateful for all the new resources I now have to help support my practice going forward. Heartbreak for all the suffering and more capacity to hold it mindfully. So beautiful to read your reflections. Thank you. Thank you so much. So just a brief well, just to really say thank you to each of you for your practice, for what we do here is not just for us, even though it is for us, but it also is going to ripple out to the many people and beings and places that we are connected to. So we are not separate from the world around us, and coming home to ourselves to touch our own wisdom and goodness is real medicine for ourselves, but also for our world. So you've been here as you're going to be a gift to those around you. And you're not selfish spending this time here caring for yourself, because it has an impact on the whole world. So I really want to bow and thank you all for your practice. And there's many more teachings in my book if you want to read that we didn't get to cover in this weekend. And you are welcome to stay in touch with me through my website, kairajewel.com. All of that will be in the participant guide and sent out to you. You can sign up for my newsletter. I send out a newsletter every month with updates on what I'm doing. One of the things in particular I wanted to let you know about is a monthly Buddhist Christian group that will start in January. I'll be offering it with my partner, who's an Episcopal priest. So you can sign up for that on my website just to get information. When it's ready, we'll send it to you. And then if you want to join, you're welcome. So let Maria Cristina make some announcements, and then we'll close all together by offering up the merit.
Thank you, Kaira Joel, for this beautiful weekend. Thank you for bringing all these diverse voices into this room together. I really want to acknowledge the diversity of this weekend space. Thank you for that gift. Thank you for coming online and doing this new way here with us at Spirit Rock. I appreciate you very much. A reminder to everyone, the recording of this class is going to be yours in 10 days or less. It's going to be emailed to you, super easy. I've put the participants guide in the chat multiple times now. That's yours for 90 days as well. We have placed many different resources this morning in there, including recordings of the chants and other yummy things. So check that out when you have a moment. Some of you have asked about Dana for the teacher. I just want to confirm that your registration fee covers the teacher's fee and also covers the BIPOC scholarship and covers managing and supporting the land and me and all of us. So thank you for your generous offerings in that way. But you can still support Kaira Joel by buying her new book. I'm the shameless plug here. Buy the book. This is the best way to support all of the teachers. If they have a book, buy it. If they are teaching another class, bring yourself, bring your friends, bring everybody and sit with the teachers, because the teachers only teach because we want the teachings. It's an interdependent relationship. So buy the book. And the link is in the participants guide under her bio. To find out more about where she is, the newsletter is the best way. There is also a teacher page on the Spirit Rock website. I am happy to announce that her live retreat in January is sold out with over 500 people on the waiting list. So, and that's just how it's rolling these days. So keep trying. And we look forward to having you safely on the land soon. Make your voice heard. Spirit Rock survey is probably in your email now. We want to know what you think. Many of you have noticed that we've added affinity sits to the breakout. It's still a little clunky. I'm trying, I'm learning. But if you think it's important and if you think it's good, please let them know, because they want to know. And by they, I mean everybody, like the executive director and everybody else. So do that. And if you're taking CEs, you have a lot of follow-up to do still, and you should have gotten in your registration email all the next steps that you need to do, but registration will chase you down just in case you haven't filled out those things. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria Cristina. Let's just give a silent applause to you for all of your work to keep this happening. Really appreciate your presence. So we will close now, and I just invite you to repeat after me this chant, very brief. It's in the chat. I'll sing little bits of it and you can repeat. We'll do call and response. Just bringing into awareness all the good, all the beautiful things you all wrote in the chat that we're taking with us from this retreat, and knowing this is a very hot and suffering world that needs these qualities that we all mentioned. So we're sharing these qualities with all who need them. May the merit of this practice, we can sing it together. May the merit of this practice benefit all beings. We repeat that together. Benefit all beings and bring peace. And bring peace. Just offer up the goodness into the world and let it rain down wherever it's needed. So yes, move, dance it out, dance out the merit. Inviting you all to unmute, and we can just say our goodbyes, and just so grateful to all of you. Much